Hello, hello. Welcome to our webinar today. We are just at the top of the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with a little intro, and then we'll kick it off with our main presentation. My name is Heather Grant. I am one of the community admins here at the Maintenance Community by Upkeep. Thank you for making the time to join us on this fine Tuesday. If you are not already a member of the Maintenance Community Slack group, we would love to have you join us. I will add a link in the chat in just a moment where to sign up. Today we have a presentation from Ricky Smith on attributes of a world-class maintenance organization and how to achieve them. The recording from our time today will be available at this link right after we end, as well as in the maintenance community on Slack tomorrow, along with a copy of the slides that you see here. Ricky himself also is available to answer any questions live in the Slack group, so please feel free to share either the recording of this webinar or the invitation to Slack directly with any friends, colleagues, or anyone else you know who might be interested in hearing some of Ricky's expertise. The final piece of housekeeping, and then we will go ahead and get started with our presentation. You'll notice that your cameras and microphones are not turned on today. So what you'll want to do to answer any questions that Ricky may ask you, or ask any questions of Ricky throughout the presentation, you'll use the chat feature on the right-hand side of your screen. Please feel free to chat your questions as they come up as we go, and we will do our best to answer as many as we can at the end of our time today. If there are any we don't get to, we will be sure to answer them offline in the community as well. And that's all from me. Thank you, everyone, and Ricky especially for being here with us today. Ricky, I will turn it over to you to get started.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Welcome, everyone. Today is attributes of a world-class maintenance organization and how to achieve them. So some individual questions. So chat this in. What is an attribute? Somebody type in what is the definition of an attribute? Somebody. Or everybody. Whatever you think it is.
We have a couple of people typing. We have characteristic of an effective initiative.
Yeah.
That's all I'm seeing so far.
All right, probably nobody else is going to answer that one. What is one attribute then of a world-class maintenance organization?
No responses in there yet.
All right, I'm going to move on. You're going to get the answer. I'm going to give you the answers, okay? What is the number one difference between typical and world-class maintenance organization? You know, it's the attributes. How are things set up? So we're going to talk about attributes now. So what is an attribute considered as a quality or a characteristic of a person, thing, or group? Okay, that's Webster Dictionary. Quality is defined as, you know, an intellectual feature or intelligible feature that by one thing can be identified. Characteristic, a distinguishing trait or quality. World-class maintenance attributes, one of the most significant characteristics of world-class maintenance are the processes which sets them apart from other companies, resulting in lower cost, higher asset reliability, and higher profitability. That's what sets them apart. That's world-class maintenance attributes. This whole thing started with world-class maintenance with Alcoa and Mount Holly, really when it was Alumax, but it became world-class with Alcoa. When Alcoa bought them and spread it out throughout the world to all plants worldwide, which was huge amount of plants. So the Alcoa Mount Holly facility, you know, the vision of the general management was that the new smelter built at Mount Holly Plantation near Charleston, South Carolina, where I worked, would begin operations with a planned maintenance system that would be developed into a total proactive system. In other words, the planning and scheduling was the hub of it. At the time in 1978, 1979, there was no maintenance computer systems on the market with the capability to support accomplish the desired objectives. So TSW of Atlanta, Georgia, was brought in on site to take not only the Alumax of South Carolina maintenance concepts and develop a computer system, a CMMS, but they will also integrate all plant business functions into one online common database available to all employees in their normal performance of duties. One of the things that I learned when I was there, one of the first things they tell you is this is a computer. All information goes in the computer and it must be accurate. Okay. Everything fully functional, CMMS, first one in the world. Site since development, initial operation of Alumax of South Carolina maintenance management system, it has matured and rendered, impressive results. These results have received, extensive recognition on national, international level. First major recognition was in 1984 when Plant Engineering Magazine published a feature article about the system. In fact, you could Google it even now. You can find it on, still floating around the internet somewhere. Then A.T. Kearney, an international management consultant headquartered in Chicago, performed a study to find the best maintenance operations in North America. And that was Alumax of South Carolina was one of the best of the seven of the best. 1989, Maintenance Technology Magazine recognized Alumax of South Carolina as the best maintenance operation in the U.S. within its category, in other words, smelter, aluminum, metals, and as the best overall maintenance operation in any category. So Alcoa bought Alumax Mount Holly in 2005, trying to set the foundation for these attributes, okay, for world-class maintenance, because this is where it came from. This is the hub. This is where it all was created from. So Alcoa, the world's biggest aluminum producer, agreed to buy Alumax for $3.8 billion in cash, stock, and assumed debt, boosting Alcoa's stake in the higher profit processed aluminum products such as building materials. Pittsburgh-based Alcoa will pay $50 a share in cash for the half of the Alumax's share outstanding and a 36% premium to Alumax's closing price, exchange valued at about $50, each share. Alcoa also assumed $1 billion of Alumax debt. Alcoa's acquisition of the world's fifth largest aluminum company accelerated Alcoa's move in emerging markets such as China and India. That was the whole reason they wanted to buy it, not just because they were so efficient and their cost was the lowest in the world at the time, but because they knew that they needed to get in these other big markets. And they knew Alumax was a big supplier of aluminum building materials. It also, helped, insulate Alcoa from the problem of raw aluminum prices. So world-class maintenance, some of you may have seen this before. Typical maintenance cost is a percentage of replacement asset value, 3.5% to 9%. World-class, so world-class is 2 to 3%. So that means that a typical organization maintenance cost is spending 3 times as much money as a world-class company would, like Alcoa, Mount Holly. Maintenance cost, material costs, 1 to 3.5% is replacement asset value, and then 0.25 to 0.75%, world class. Huge amount of difference in money, a huge amount. Alcoa was named the most admired companies in the world, ranked #1 in metals industry in 2005, 2009. Innovation, use of assets, employee talent. Why employee talent? Because you had to be very skilled to get in the door. When I went there to go to work at Alumax, I was tested, written test for 5 nights. And every night they tell you to wait once you finish the test, and they'll tell you whether you pass that night, you come out the next night. And then the following week was the hands-on portion of it. So they hired very skilled people. Management investment value, social responsibility, financial soundness, products and services. So in less than 12 months, no major safety incidents, rate of production increased 13%, and $1 billion plant, you're talking about a huge amount of money. Production overtime went down by 10%. Overtime went down by 10%. Availability and performance trending upward. The world-class standards, preventive maintenance execution is 15% of labor hours. PM results is 15% of labor hours. PDM execution is 15% of labor hours. And then the results from PDM is 35% of labor hours. Total work plan, 90%. Reactive work, less than 2%. That's in labor hours. Stockouts, less than 2%. You go to the storeroom, the part's supposed to be there, it's not there. That's a stockout. Schedule compliance by day, by week, 85 to 90%. And then failure reporting, analysis, and corrective action system in place, and eliminating failures by changing the maintenance strategy and equipment modifications. And work orders are closed out with all codes that have been identified. We've got to have good data. The goals of maintenance and reliability: save money, reduce downtime and cost by solving problems to their root causes. Use of non-capital solutions to eliminate problems. Defect eliminations built into the maintenance and reliability processes. Preventive maintenance is executed as a controlled experiment. Optimize maintenance wrench time through maintenance planning and scheduling. And then reduces process variations. And then reduce variations in the maintenance process. So let me ask you, what kind of variation will we have in the maintenance process? Somebody text in, tell me what you think. What is a variation? In production, we know the variations mean the production rate could go up and down, quality up and down. But what kind of variations could we have in the maintenance process? Hope everybody's thinking. Come on, somebody got a belly up on this one. Come on.
We have someone typing.
Somebody typing?
Yeah. Bob says MTTR, restore/repair.
Yeah, that's a good one. So having unexpected failures is definitely going to be a problem. And the variations in us doing the maintenance work too. If we don't execute the maintenance work repeatedly the same way, we won't get the same results. Grow partnership between production, environmental, and maintenance. Reactive maintenance attributes: wrench time's low. I mean, hands-on tool time is low. PM compliance is wide. In other words, what I mean by PM compliance is that you've got monthly PM, and then even though it says monthly, so we do it in this month, and then as it comes the next month, if things are running well, we rush and get PMs done. But at the end of the month, things aren't running well. The beginning of the following month, we may push off those PMs at the end of the month. So we'll have either a 30-day PM, or we could have a 58-day PM, or somewhere in between. PM variance, PM compliance should be within 10% rule. In other words, a monthly PM should be within 3 days, or they're out of compliance within 3 days of a monthly PM. Performing PM on equipment continues to break down. It's not logical. I'm sure probably a couple of you have seen this one before. Overnight delivery, sitting for weeks or months, waiting for somebody to pick them up from the loading dock or from the storeroom. Everyone working hard as they can with little, if any, movement seen toward proactive. Storeroom chaos, people standing in line at 7 a.m. waiting on parts. Contractor replacing equipment with no one validating if the defect was eliminated or work was completed accurately. No formal planning and scheduling. So we're going to talk about world-class maintenance attributes. 90% plus of work is planned, kitted, has a repeatable procedure, etc. Schedule work is scheduled by day, by hour. Storeroom have the parts available when required. We have it set up for min, max, and reorder point. And one thing to add to it is safety stock. There are certain ones we want to always have something in stock, a safety, just to be on the safe side so we don't have unexpected breakdown. Preventive maintenance is performed to specifications, seen as a #1 priority. Maintenance technicians provided the time to accomplish work to specification through maintenance scheduling. In other words, if you've got so much time to do the work right, okay, then no one should be rushing you to do the job. If we have scheduled the job correctly, if we've estimated hours correctly, then people should have the time to do it specification, not running through the job. Specification, torque values, alignment, and so on. Production and maintenance seen as equal partners. This is one. World-class attributes is a big deal, but you see a lot of organizations that production, they're the king. Maintenance is like subservient to them. We're equal partners. We're equal partners. On break-ins of the schedule, maintenance techs may need to patch the equipment. However, not frequently, but they know there must be a corrective work order written and scheduled to restore to a later date. So if there's a breakdown, a break-in, then they know to write a work order and then be restored at a later date when it's planned and scheduled. All maintenance technicians are trained and skilled in root cause analysis techniques. So some more world-class maintenance attributes, fully functional CMS. Talked about that. Mount Holly was the first plant in the world to have a fully functional CMS because no one had a CMS that would actually manage operations and maintenance together, like a SAP. Asset hierarchy structure with a focus on managing assets through data. All maintenance work is charged to an asset. This goes back to this whole thing about without having good data, we can't make good decisions. That's part of that CMMS. Asset criticality is used to manage and prioritize maintenance work. Maintenance is planned and scheduled based on asset criticality and defect severity using the intercept model. The intercept model is just a way of looking at the criticality and the severity of the problem with the equipment. The reason why we got to replace it, repair it, whatever, and it brings things up to the top. It tells you it gives you a good algorithm of what I should schedule or plan or schedule first, second, third, and so on. Involve people on the floor. I mean, who knows more about the equipment than the people that are running it and the people that are maintaining it? Triggers are established to resolve and eliminate equipment process problems through root cause analysis. Strong support from maintenance management. In other words, the maintenance management is supported of world-class maintenance and track reliability engineering cost savings. If you got reliability engineers, we should be seeing cost savings. And really, in any organization, should be seeing cost savings because of things that we're doing to optimize or improve maintenance. Decisions made with maintenance dashboards. These dashboard metrics are a big deal. So here on this scorecard, we got PM compliance, plan work, center plan work, schedule compliance, work order closeout accurately, rework, maintenance cost. Now, why is work order closeout on that list? Why? Accurately. Somebody texts in, why is that so important to be on the scorecard? This is a world-class maintenance organization, world-class maintenance attribute. Anybody text us?
We have people typing. From Bob says, because in some cases they are closed when they were not accurate. Ahmed agrees, says it has to be closed to complete the job. It's most important in PM.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
The reason we close out work orders accurately, and they're correct, but the one I always think about is having the right data to make decisions. So if we don't have the right codes on it, the right hours and so on it, then we got our metrics may be skewed. So we need to make sure the work orders are closed out accurately. Some attributes, world-class maintenance attributes dealing with failure, mitigation, elimination. Maintain. And this came from Alcoa. Okay, you actually see this board over to the right of the screen. You see Alcoa, Mount Holly. They have all the different metrics on their reliability board, and then they have these other metrics too that tell us how well their system is working. Their reliability teams are working. So applied so everyone knows how effective their efforts are working. So failure analysis team called the FAT team. I didn't use that. Okay, they call that. Okay, failure analysis team is a team that will be called to action if certain triggers have been called. So cross-functional standing team meet regularly, led by maintenance of reliability engineers, review the data with the highest number of unplanned work orders, hours, and costs, take actions to prevent recurrence of failures. Equipment reliability team, ERT, cross-functional ad hoc team. The difference between a standing team and an ad hoc means we bring them together when we have a certain problem. When we're talking about a cross-functional standing team, I mean we meet regularly, okay? So led by reliability designee, may not be a reliability engineer in this, okay? Focus only on one equipment or system. Use root cause analysis to identify root causes. And then the process reliability team, cross-functional team. This one's meeting regularly, just like the failure analysis team, co-led by maintenance or reliability engineer and a production designee. Focus on reducing process functional failures, not maintenance, process functional failure, using RCA to identify root causes. So when we look at best maintenance repair practices, followed to mitigate failures, it's critical that we have that. Okay, so here we got maintenance tasks, standard, required best practices, consequences of not following failure, probability of failure. So lubricating bearings, okay, lubricating bearings and making sure if we look at what's required best practices, okay, it says clean fittings, clean in the grease gun, lubricate with proper amount and right amount of grease, lubricate within variance of frequency. In other words, like if it's a monthly PM, 10% or 20% of the variation, it could be a monthly PM, then it could be 3 days or 6 days, you'll be out of specification. The consequences of not following best practices, early bearing failure, reduce life by 20 to 80%. Then V-belts, the same thing. We look at required best practices, identify the proper tension deflection for the belt, and set tension to specification. The consequences, premature belt failure through rapid belt wear or total belt failure, premature bearing failure of driven or driver unit. Look at the probability of failure. Again, on that, it's 100%, but 20 number of self-induced failures versus best practice, 20 to 1. So another attribute, we're looking at maintenance planning enables maintenance scheduling. So with planning, we have repeatable procedures. We have the tools. These aren't tools that the maintenance person has with them, but they're special tools. If they don't roll around with a big toolbox, then they need to have the tool specified on it, okay, and planning. Parts and material. Okay, what parts of material, do we need for the job? Special equipment and tools. You don't have, like if you've got a JLG lift, a man lift or something like that, you may not have 100 of them, and you may have, may only have 2. So someone has to, in world-class planning, world-class maintenance planning, one of the attributes is making sure that we take that and make sure that equipment is available for that day and reserve it. Equipment history, got to know. And planning, we need to know equipment history. Do we need to make changes to anything? Job scope, scheduling, production schedule, craft person schedule. We try to match the schedule up with production and craft. Work order priorities. It's all about the priority of the work. PMs, PDM work, and then maintenance crew schedule. Make sure that when we schedule it, we schedule all technicians by day, by hour. The attributes of a proactive maintenance planner focuses on future work only. Some of you have heard me say this many times. If you want to know if you got a proactive planner, call them on the phone and say, hey, I need a part right now. Next thing you should hear is the dial tone because they called the wrong number. They should have called their maintenance supervisor. Main objective, a planner. Main objective is to increase wrench time, resulting in optimal asset reliability at optimal costs. Typical wrench time, 15, 20, 35% hands-on tool time. And then world-class wrench time is 55 to 65%, which means, and with wrench time, if we don't only maintenance plan and schedule enables wrench time, to be higher and to be more effective. Okay. manages the maintenance and total backlog. Ready backlog is ready to schedule. Total backlog is all the work orders we have in the system. And ready backlog is ready to schedule. Ensures all maintenance technicians' time is fully loaded. 40 hours a week equals 40 hours scheduled work orders. Now, if you look at wrench time, okay, idle time at a job site. People tell me, how do you come up with this wrench time thing? Well, it's not so much about, they used to have wrench time studies. They used to do a lot of them. They had a little PDAs. You walk around and you observe what people are doing. So idle time at a job site. I'm waiting on somebody. I'm waiting on, Jimmy or Jose or, or Muhammad. I'm waiting on them to come to the job. I've been waiting here for, 30 minutes. Late starts, early quits, you get out, you're trying to ask the supervisor, what exactly is this job? If it's scheduled, if it's planned and scheduled, it's already on the procedure. They don't need to talk to the supervisor. Early quits means they didn't have a fully loaded day. That's 4%. Looking for supervisor, 4%. Coordination delays, we got to get coordination to make sure when we come to the job, it's done correctly. Travel time, obtaining parts and materials, 10%. Receiving instructions, 5%. Actual repair time, 30%. Hands-on tool time. Excessive personal time, 4%. Authorized breaks, 10%. Heard somebody just sent a message in. Somebody asked a question. Heather?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions. You want to answer them now?
Go ahead.
Sure. There's 2 questions. One here says, how do we get world-class wrench time when typical is less? I mean, can anyone achieve close to world-class wrench time?
Sure, anybody can achieve world-class wrench time. If we're in a proactive organization, it's not difficult. The thing is how much of your maintenance people's time is reactive, and what percentage of their time is proactive. And I mean planned and scheduled, not they have to keep going back to supervisor, every time they need another work order. They should know for the whole week how long, what they're scheduled for every day. So when you come to work, let's just say in the US, we start work on Monday. So when you come to work on Monday, you're going to know, and really you'll probably know the Friday before, but you're going to know what you're going to do Monday through Friday of that week, by hour, by day. That makes sense? That answered the question?
I think so. The next question we have here says, if we do time studies, Ahmed says, yes, thank you. The next question is, if we do time studies, do we bake these times into our plans?
I wouldn't do time studies, to be honest with you. I'm just showing you, the wrench time. And some of the best companies in the world, none of them do wrench time. What they do is, this whole thing is about getting you aware that you really need to be focused on planning and scheduling. Because this is what happens. The typical wrench time is low if we don't have planning and scheduling fully functional. All right, got another question?
No, those are it for now.
All right, good. All right. So attributes of a proactive maintenance leader: leads by example, knows himself, and seeks self-improvement. In other words, I know what my weaknesses are, and I know what my strengths are. Okay, so I work on that. That's a maintenance supervisor or maintenance manager. Highly knowledgeable and proactive maintenance and demonstrates it daily. Best demonstrated rate, okay? Manages with leading lagging metrics for all maintenance process, from preventive maintenance to failure reporting. Is 100% competent in their CMMS. And that should go really for anybody in there, but a maintenance leader has a higher level. They should be able to go into it and search reports and whatever they need from that. Treats everyone as your equal and demonstrates respect and always be humble to everyone in all situations. Proactive. Sometimes a maintenance leader, I've seen most of them do a great job of it. There are some that I met once in a while that, get really agitated when things don't go their way, and hey, things aren't always perfect. Okay. Know each planner by name and check on them, occasionally asking how things are going. Walk the floor 80% of the time. You want to be seen. Okay. So if you're a maintenance leader, you want to be seen. Never ask anyone to do something you would not do yourself. I mean, that was one I've learned a long time ago. And it was true when I worked at a world-class plant. We had a maintenance and engineering manager who was over 100 and I forgot 40 or 60 maintenance techs and electricians. And I tell you, you would see him out asking people how things are going. It was amazing. He would walk the floor. Become true partners with production leadership at all levels. It's important that you understand that production and maintenance, whether you're production or maintenance, we're equals. Okay, we're not separate. We're not one's higher than the other. You know, the whole these companies run around profitability, and that's what we're focused on is profitability. That's why we got to be partners with production. Attributes of a proactive maintenance technician. Okay, begins each day with the attitude. Arrives at work on time. Begins each day with the attitude. I'm professional, and my focus is always to do the best I can, no matter what challenge, no matter the challenges I face today. I always do the best I can. Seeks knowledge to grow their ability to be the best they can through online webinars like SMRP webinars, CMRT certification, vendor technical webinars, etc. Books like Audell's Mechanical Trades Pocket Handbook, Industrial Machinery Repair, my book up there. They got electrical books on those too. Parts, vendor documents and toolbox talks. These parts, these vendors like SKF. Here's the SKF bearing failures and their causes. I tell you what, they're great to use because it's a great thing to have, like what I used to call a toolbox talk. And that's why I created my toolbox talks. I used to have them when I was a maintenance supervisor. I sit down with my technicians for 15 minutes a week and we cover some topic. But this vendor documents is where that comes from. Performs all proactive maintenance activities, utilizing repeatable procedures to minimize human-induced failures. Supports maintenance planning and schedule 100%. It can't be technicians there to follow the plan. And then all technicians, when a lot of times companies have problems with when they schedule somebody for work, and let's say that we've got a breakdown, okay, and somebody comes up to you and says, hey, can you come look at this? The equipment's broken down. What they should say is, hey, I'm going to call them supervisor. They're going to come take care of it for you. Okay. But I'm not going to leave you alone, but I can't be pulled off of my scheduled job. If a pass is required on a rush or emergency job, they always write a corrective maintenance work order so the equipment can be restored at a later date. And then, perform if if they observe equipment not performing the specifications or an operator having problems, they notify their supervisor of the problem immediately. Perform preventive maintenance as a controlled experiment. We put equipment in a controlled state. We do certain things to it to give us, what's the outcome of that preventive maintenance, which is optimal asset reliability. So some more world-class maintenance attributes. Attributes of a repeatable procedure required for all proactive work orders. Okay. Why do you need effective repeatable procedures? Because I don't need them. My staff is highly trained and they don't like using procedures. You got to get over it. Okay. All work orders. If you're going to do world-class maintenance attribute, all work orders must be written to the lowest level. Some of you have heard me say this before. All you need on one step on a procedure should be that the most you need is a noun, adjective, and a verb. Check, chain, drop. You may need to have a little bit more, but some people have procedures where it runs for like 2 or 3 lines, and just people aren't going to read all that. You need to cut to the chase. This isn't an English grammar class, okay? No long sentences, noun, adjective, verb, max. All work must have a work order and must be charged to an asset, or it didn't happen. Standing work order should only be used for meetings which a tech is present. In other words, you can have a standing work order for like safety, corporate meetings, site meeting. However, time must be charged to these specific work orders in case we need to retrieve the information in the future. I want to know how much time the meetings are taking with us. Standing work orders are helpful to tell you that. All work orders must be reviewed before the close of business each day by the maintenance supervisor. So at the end of the day, maintenance supervisor should review the work orders, and then once he or she reviews the work orders, turns them back over to the maintenance planner, who then closes them out. Why does the planner close it out? because the planner's the one sitting calm for the day. They're not going crazy because of all the problems. Because remember, the planner focuses on future work. They're not dealing with this week's work. All work orders must be closed out by the maintenance planner to ensure all information is accurate. That's what I'm saying. They're the ones, the last ones that push the button. But the supervisor says, yes, work orders look good. Planner says, push the button. Yeah, closed out. Goes in equipment history. Attributes of an effective PM program. Preventive maintenance is the most important routine function that maintenance personnel must accomplish to specification. Preventive maintenance is performed to specification all the time. PMs must be evaluated for effectiveness if equipment failures are occurring. If equipment failures are occurring and you're performing preventive maintenance, something's wrong, and we need to find out what that is. Get to the root cause of it. Maintenance techs are involved in PM evaluation and optimization. Preventive maintenance must be measured and managed using the right leading and lagging KPIs. We're talking about the leading KPIs lead to the results. The lagging KPIs are the result. So here's some leading KPIs of preventive maintenance. PM compliance using the 10% rule of PM. What that means is the 10% rule for the monthly PM. Let's just say we use on average 30 days. Okay, that's the average days for a month. Okay, so 10% rule says you got 3 days of doing it or you're out of compliance. Now, some companies do that. Them use the 20% rule. Okay, but they start narrowing in, making sure. Otherwise, what happens is we push off a PM to the end of the month. And then at the end of the month, we get the work, the PM accomplished or done. And then the beginning of the next month, that PM opens up again at the beginning of the month. Now I go out and I do the PM again. Okay, 33 or 6 days later, I'm doing the same PM again. Doesn't make sense. Then the number of defects found. How much do you find from the work order, from the PM? PMs, typically what you'll find is you should find on average, every third time you inspect, you should find something. Every third time you inspect, that's world class. Lagging KPIs, OEE, maintenance material costs, maintenance overtime, and rework. So attributes of an effective maintenance scorecards, all maintenance functions are managed through leading and lagging KPIs, which result in optimal reliability at optimal costs. You've seen this before. This is the maintenance scorecard. Here's the preventive maintenance scorecard. So preventive maintenance scorecard, PM compliance at 100%, breaks to the schedule, the maintenance schedule, 16. That says probably we got a problem with equipment. I'm not talking about breaks to the PM schedule. I'm talking about breaks to the schedule. Okay. Maintenance costs, emergency labor hours, PMs evaluated, none. Planning and scheduling, total backlog, 6 weeks. Ready backlog, 2 weeks. Percentage of planned work, 75%. Schedule compliance is 88%. Our rework, we got 14 rework. Rework means that the equipment that we did something to, we had to come back to it within a certain period, and it's rework. We have to go do it again. Emergency labor hours, 37. Maintenance costs as a percentage of replacement asset value, 14.3%. So how to achieve world-class maintenance attributes? It's something that people struggle with. And even though I've worked at a world-class maintenance plant, you still struggle with how do I share that knowledge? Provide knowledge of world-class maintenance through training to all maintenance personnel. Okay. Maintenance best practices, maintenance technician best practices, maintenance planning and scheduling. I think all maintenance personnel should go through some. And the training doesn't have to be a 3-day. You can do it with toolbox talks as a maintenance supervisor, sitting around with your crew. Give your crew every week, you need to have a meeting with them and provide some type of training. And if you need help, you can go to my website, worldclassmaintenance.org. I've got a lot of information in there, toolbox talks, single point lessons you can use every week. Okay, provide personnel a chance to take the CMRP. Okay, so we're talking about, leadership, CMRT. If we're talking about maintenance techs, CMRT. Create a plan to achieve world-class maintenance through application of the crawl, walk, run methodology. What that is we crawl before we walk, just like a baby. When we walk good, then we're gonna start running. And that's that crawl, walk, run. In other words, what a lot of people try to do when they change something, they want to go at it right hard, fast. Well, that's just take it easy And let's do it the right way every time. Sure, your CMMS is fully functional. So I'm going to ask this question to all of you guys on today and gals. What is your CMMS fully functional and all maintenance work is charged to a work order and asset? Yes or no? Text it in. If you're on this webinar today, text it in. Don't sit back now. Come on.
We have one that says no. Another no. Apologies for the car driving by. Just 2 no's so far.
All right, come on. We got more people on this line than that. Come on, text it in. All right, I'm going to move on. Apply repeatable procedures for all work with exception of reactive work. Reactive work, you do not use repeatable procedure because you don't know what the root cause of the problem is. Create a maintenance dashboard and keep it updated. All right. So what are your questions? Oh, go ahead and text in your questions. I got a class coming up on CMRP exam, one in Singapore and one in the United States.
We got a couple more questions in. One says proactive maintenance knowledge and how to demonstrate it daily. Is it necessary? Ahmed, we might need a little more context unless Ricky, you know.
Say that one more time.
The question says proactive maintenance knowledge and how to demonstrate it daily. What do you mean? Is it necessary?
It is necessary. You know, proactive maintenance or world-class maintenance, just like I'm showing on these slides, is known, and we need to gain that knowledge. You know, that's one of the reasons created this class, this master class on maintenance and reliability best practices. You know, because a lot of people don't know it. They do the best they can, but everybody knows something. But the problem is, do we know how we synchronize it all together? That's what's important.
Ahmed's clarified a little bit, says, is it to be demonstrated daily? I think is the specific question. Yeah,
best demonstrated. What is the best demonstrated rate, whatever that is that you're doing? You know, if we've done it once, if we made that step once, why can't we do it again and again?
Awesome. The second question here is what % of PM failure is permissible?
What % of PMs are permissible?
Of PM failure.
Oh, PM failure? I hopefully we don't have any failures, you know, once we do PMs, but we do, right? So I always use what I use for preventive maintenance is preventive maintenance labor hours versus emergency urgent labor hours. Put them on a trend graph, look at the correlation, you'll see it, you know, because it's not logical. If we're doing preventive maintenance correctly and we got 100% PM compliant, I expect to have very little, if any, breakdowns.
Awesome. Moving in, I think we got one more question. Yeah, it says, what is the best CMMS program you advise?
Okay.
Depends on your organization, right?
Depends on your organization. I have to tell you, I'm trying not to be biased, but I'd check out Upkeep's software first. But there are different things that you need. So you need to identify the requirements of your CMMS that you need. And then from that, let's start looking for them. Because there's a lot of information out there. You know, what do you need for your CMMS? But you need to think about what do you want from that CMMS to do, you know, before you go looking for a CMMS. Because most companies, they want to go based on somebody's recommendation, but it may not fit your model, what you're looking for. Okay. I like Upkeeps because you can put it on a cell phone or a tablet real easy. But now all the software companies have that too. But it's just my opinion. I like Upkeep better. Okay. Anything else?
That's all the questions I see right now. I appreciate everyone joining us today, and Ricky, your time for running our presentation. If there are no more questions, I think that's where we'll end today.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.